So once again, the NBA ratings are down, and the current talking point among the basketball community is that the NBA is dying and that some serious changes need to be made. I was talking to a buddy about this, and he asked me a question. If you were the commissioner of the NBA, what would you do to fix the league? And he wasn't just asking me like some nonchalant question, but he wanted to know in detail what rules I would put in place, what changes I would make, and what are the things I would implement to get the NBA back to its former glory. I decided that it would be best to answer that in a video. So here's what I would do if I was the NBA's commissioner in order to fix the league. And please, let me know in the comments section what you would do if you were in that role as well. First off, I would lengthen the three-point line. Now yes, Steph Curry had a lot to do with the surge of three-pointers within the league. But a big part of that movement, and the reason why we're seeing so many three-point shots taken today, is because of the analytics movement. It just makes sense to take more three-point shots. For example, if a team shoots only 2-point shots and they make 50%, and the other team only shoots 3-point shots yet they make 40%, it's actually the team that's only shooting threes that is easily going to win the game. This basic math is the main motivating factor on why the three-point shot has taken over the league. So the only way to get the league back to where it was in years past is to simply drop the percentages of the three-point shots. And frankly, I think the best way to do that is to lengthen the distance of the shot. The three-point line is 23 feet 9 inches away from the basket at the top of the arc, and then on the corners it's actually a lesser 22 feet away. I would change the distance at the top of the arc to about 26 feet. Naturally, you would see percentages plummet across the league, but there would still be a lot of guys who are capable of making them consistently, like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, and Trae Young. Now personally, I would not touch the corner threes. There is already a limited amount of space on the corner three, and I know that if you extend the three-point line on the front end of the arc, then instantly the corner three becomes the most valuable shot in the entire NBA, and at one point it already was. The thing is, 42.4% of the shots taken in the NBA today are three-point attempts, but according to a study done by ESPN, only 10% of shots are corner threes. The truth is, the vast majority of the three-point shots taken today are from the front end of the arc. Again, this makes the corner three so valuable, but honestly, I'm okay with that, because corner three specialists will become more prominent, and they do add a bit of variety to the gameplay. If I was the commissioner, egregious flops not only get a technical foul, but it gets a technical free throw for the opposing teams. In a way, this rule has already been established in the NBA, but it's so rarely enforced that it's had very little effect on the player's approach. In the NBA rulebook, it also states that a flopping technical foul is considered a non-unsportsmanlike technical foul, meaning it will not contribute to a player's ejection. And for me, that's just such a weak approach. If we're confident that the player flopped and what he did was an action that hurt the product, then why wouldn't you penalize him with stronger consequences? If referees are not enforcing this, then we'll get new ones who will. It's one thing to punish or fine players for flopping, but it's another thing entirely if their stupid fake acting results in points for the opposing team. That will piss off their head coaches and their team leaders. And I do believe the quickest way to cut down on flopping is to make it show up on the scoreboard. The NBA All-Star Game is a mess and has become so lax, and the league office is constantly changing up the structure of the game to try to manufacture some interest. Personally, I would go back to the East and West format, but I would swing the pendulum completely in the opposite direction and have it go from an exhibition game to a game that determines home court advantage in the NBA Finals. Is it going to the West or is it going to the East? Now, some may say that this is too dramatic, but I don't care. The players earned this by not trying harder and not putting an entertaining product in front of the fans. Then now, we're going in the complete opposite direction, and you know for a fact that that would create interest in the All-Star Game. Now, some might point out that certain All-Stars would care more about this than others. For example, NBA star players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown would care a lot about getting home court advantage, seeing that the Boston Celtics are likely to make it to the NBA Finals. Teams like the Mavericks, the Bucks, and the OKC Thunder are all going to care about that a lot as well. But NBA All-Stars, who are not on contending teams, are probably not going to be as invested. And although I understand that, I'm completely okay with that, because then it will be up to the leaders of the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference to hold the rest of the players accountable, and to make sure they're putting forth their best effort. If I was the commissioner, traveling would be called as strictly as it was in the 1990s. Even the gather step would now be limited to an additional 2 steps instead of infinite steps. I don't care if a player is bobbling the ball or establishing his footing. We can't have guys getting away with infinite steps in those loosely interpreted situations. I would also have the refs stop calling such ticky-tack technical fouls. For goodness sake, let the players trash talk. NBA fans love that stuff. If they want to stare down the opponent after a post or dunk, then let them. These are competitive, masculine men in the heat of competition, so stop castrating them and let them compete with passion. Obviously, I remember the Malice of the Palace, and I don't want to see anything like that happen ever again. So I would harshly suspend players who throw any punches or who dare to enter the stands. But outside of that, let them compete, let them talk, and let them invest in those rivalries with their words. Load managing is a major issue, so that's one of the things that I would tackle. I would increase the minimum game requirements to win NBA awards from 65 games to 70 games. I would also create financial incentives for NBA players who meet the certain minimums. For example, a major financial bonus for Anthony Davis every season where he plays 75 games. I would also have fans get partial refunds for nights where their highest paid player doesn't play due to an injury that wasn't disclosed at least the day before tip-off. Theoretically, this would hit the owners in the wallet and would affect all NBA revenue, and no one wants that, not the players, the owners, or even the commissioner. But instead of the league losing money, I think this would simply apply pressure for the players to play as often as possible, and definitely when they're healthy. This would probably be my most challenging battle as the commissioner, because it involves a lot of money, which means that it would need to be negotiated when the current collective bargaining agreement is up in 2029. But I know for sure that I would be doing everything I possibly could to meet these terms. Now, some people might be surprised by this, but we're keeping the NBA Cup. I think it's something that the American audience can warm up to, and it's nice to see the guys competing so hard in NBA regular season games. But now, the NBA Cup is becoming experimental grounds for potential new implementations into the NBA. And the first thing we're doing in the league office is implementing legal hand-checking into the in-season tournament. If the viewers like it and it creates more entertaining basketball, then it will be permanently implemented into the league the following season. If the viewers don't like it, then it will be scrapped completely and we'll proceed without it. The following year in the NBA Cup, I would remove the defensive 3-second violation. And again, if people found that more entertaining, then it would end up that way for good. By removing the defensive 3-second violation, it would get rid of all these unchallenged layups, and it would allow rim protectors to camp under the rim, meaning that offensive players would be constantly challenged at the rim, just like they were in the 80s and 90s. Under these new rules, mid-range jumpers would become even more essential, and guys like Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama would see their blocks numbers skyrocket. Honestly, there's a lot more things I would probably do over my years as an NBA commissioner, but this is just how I'd get started. How would you get started? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.